Hi all. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you are new, welcome. My name is Amira and my channel is all about trying new makeup, talking about new makeup, but also finding new and exciting ways to be inspired by the makeup you already own. If that sounds good to you, I hope you will consider subscribing, and if you enjoyed today's video, hitting the like button. Today, guys, we're going to talk about old faves. We're going to talk about old holy grails, things that I used to reach for all the time in my collection, and we're going to evaluate, do I still reach for them? Do I still love them? Let's find out. Let's get into it. Okay, so I grabbed a handful of items, just things that I used to, and maybe still do, reach for all the time, love, were part of my routine. Some of the things that I used to say, these are my absolute faves, they're amazing. And we're gonna talk about my feelings about them today. They're all still in my collection, so clearly they haven't been decluttered, they haven't gone anywhere. But I do a declutter at the beginning of the year every year. And so doing these types of videos for me helps give me clarity about what can move on from my collection and what I may want to revisit and, and incorporate more into my daily makeup routine. So first up, we're going to talk about primer. And it feels weird to even say that, but so I have the Milk Hydro Grip primer here. I never use this anymore, and this was my holy grail. Like, it was the only primer I owned for a very long time. It still is. Like, I don't own a lot of primers. I got rid of all my primers. The issue is that I don't use primer anymore. I just don't. The Milk Hydro Grip primer, however, is amazing. It is the one primer that I recommend no matter your skin type. I think it works. It definitely helps your makeup last. The issue for me is I tend to just use my sunscreen as my base, as like my primer layer when I do my makeup now. And so for me, I don't necessarily want to put sunscreen on and then a primer and then my foundation and then my concealer. Like, it just feels like a lot of layers. And I feel like for me, my sunscreen, especially if it's a good sunscreen that works for my skin type, works really well as the priming layer for my foundation. So yeah, I still love this. I still recommend it, but I don't know if it's going to survive. It survived the last declutter, but I don't know if it's going to survive this one because I'm just not using it, and I've had it a while, so it may be time to just check. Next up is my Stellar Beauty Limitless foundation. This was my favorite foundation for a very long time, a very long time. Stellar Beauty is kind of slept on. They are a Canadian brand owned by a Canadian makeup artist, and this foundation is lovely. However, I haven't used it in ages, and the last time I did use it, I didn't love it as much as I remember loving it. And the reason for that is I'm realizing now that my tastes in foundations have changed. I used to love a matte foundation, or matte satin. And I still don't mind a satin or natural finish foundation, but I'm not in love with matte finishes anymore. I don't love the way that they look on me. My aesthetic about my base makeup has changed. Before, it used to be I wanted matte, and then I would impart glow with like highlighters and things like that. Now I tend to want the skin itself to be glowy. You know what I mean? And I want it to look very skin-like. So this is also, I will say this, when I first purchased this was like my perfect shade, and now it just feels way too light for me. The last time I used it, I was like, this is so light, and it wasn't this light on me. So I don't know if because I've had it a while, it's changed, or just my undertone. Now I've done this and I can't have nothing to wipe my hand off on. I just feel like the shade just doesn't work for me anymore either. But I will say, I think Stellar has some of the best undertones of foundations that I've tried, because this was, and when I say perfect match, I mean like 95%. But I just don't feel like I have this much yellow in my skin anymore. But yeah, this is a beautiful foundation. If you do like, and when I say this is matte, it's not like matte dry, it's like a natural matte. but it's still flatter than what I normally go for nowadays, if that makes sense. But this is a beautiful foundation, so if you are into that type of finish, I highly recommend this. I don't think it's a bad foundation. I kind of want to try it a couple more times and see how I feel about it to see if I wind up decluttering it. Next up is another foundation that I used to love, and this is a foundation that got trashed so much on social media, like on YouTube, when people were trying it out. They're like, oh, I hate it. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. This is not a foundation for dry skin. And I think that was the issue, that a lot of the people trying it had dry skin, and this is not a foundation. If you have dry skin, this is not the foundation for you, boo. It's okay. There's a million ones out there on the market that look great on dry skin. This is not one of them. So this is the Kevyn Aucoin Foundation Balm. And mine is basically dried out anyway, so I think I'm going to toss it, because look at it. It's like cracked. Maybe I'll save it for the declutter, but it's seen its moment. I've had this one for a little while now, so I think it's time to get rid of it. But I loved this foundation, and I do want to revisit it because I love the finish of this. It gives the skin, even though it's matte, it gives the skin this like velvety texture that actually winds up looking very skin-like. Does that make sense? I don't know how to describe it, but this, you can really build up heavy. You can do full coverage with this, or you can do really light, and it just gives the skin this sort of like soft blur effect that I really love. I haven't used this a ton since my foundation tastes have changed, and it did survive my last declutter where I did pull out a lot of my like matte foundations, or foundations that just were kind of meh for me. But I think I'm in the mood to do another one. So come the beginning of the year, I might do another sort of like foundation declutter. And I don't think this one's gonna survive that one, because one, it's old, and two, I don't use it much anymore, but it is I think it's a beautiful foundation balm. Concealer wise, let's talk about this bad boy here. This is my Pat McGrath Skin Fetish concealer Sublime. This one is on the old side, and I think it probably won't survive the declutter just for that, but I also don't think it's going to survive the declutter because of the finish. It is incredibly matte, and I'm just not into super matte concealers anymore. Kosas rocked my world. It changed my mind. I'm a new woman. The Revealer Creamy Concealer has made me realize that I love a creamy, soft under eye. I don't want a matte under eye. And now when I use super matte concealers, I'm like, oh. And also, I'm getting older. I don't have like a ton of like wrinkles, thank the Lord, knock on fake wood. But your skin does change. Like even without visible wrinkling, your skin does change as you get older. And what I'm noticing is that my skin is not as oily as it used to be. It's still sensitive. It's still, it can get oily, but matte products sit differently on my skin than they used to. So for that reason, this is no longer a favorite. I actually haven't used this in, I can't even tell you the last time I used this concealer. Literally, like I did a concealer declutter, and I was pretty brutal about it. There was a concealer that I kept that exploded on me, like it dropped and like went everywhere, and that was my ABH concealer. That is one concealer I probably would repurchase, even though it's on the matter side. It's got a creaminess to it that I really like, that keeps it from feeling flat on the skin. But I was really sad about that one because I kept it, and I just started like really using it, and I was really enjoying it, and then it just went. So I might repurchase that. I might not. I don't know. I have recently purchased a new concealer that I haven't had a chance to try yet. So I'm gonna probably do that, but I don't think in the new year that this one will be sticking around. Like even if I were to keep it because I loved it, I've had it a while, it's probably time for a new one. Next up, let's talk eyeshadow palettes. Now, these three palettes that I'm going to talk about are palettes that are OGs in my collection. I love them all. They all have served me well, and I don't think any of them are going to go anywhere. But I'm going to talk about why I don't reach for certain ones as much anymore, and why I continue to reach for others. So first up is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam. Looks like this. You can see that mine is very well loved. I do still love this palette. I've had it for ages. It's probably time to get a new one if I were to keep this, but the mattes in this still hold up. It's a great palette for just like basic, like I would always do like an all matte grungy eye with this palette. Like that was my go-to with this. I didn't really use the shimmers with the exception of glistening, which is one of my faves. I didn't really use the metallics and shimmers in this all that much. It was all about the mattes for me, and I still really love this palette, so I don't think it's going to be going anywhere, but I don't reach for it as nearly as much as I used to, because when I purchased that, that was my go-to palette. I purchased that around the same time that I purchased my Gemini palette from Melt, and it was either that one or Soft Glam. Like that's what I was wearing, and I was going between the two depending on the day and how I was feeling. So that got a lot of use, and I just don't use it like that anymore. Next up is the first full-size Natasha Denona palette I ever purchased, and it is the gold palette, the beautiful, the amazing, the discontinued gold palette. Is this still right? Does it still rank high for me? Yes. Do I reach for it as much as I used to? Absolutely not. But it's not going anywhere. So, you know, but it's still a beautiful palette. It still has a place. It still has a say in my life as far as my makeup collection go. Like this isn't going anywhere. It's stunning and I love it. I just don't reach for it. Kind of like Soft Glam. I just don't reach for it as much as I used to. This third palette, however, continues to prove its worth, continues to prove its perfection to me, continues to prove why I love it, and that is my Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. I still use this. It is one of those palettes that I sit down to play with and I'm just like, this is why I love you. This is why I love you. You're amazing. I love this palette. I still reach for this palette. I don't reach for it in the summer that much, but fall, winter, this is like when I don't know what I want to do. I'm like, you know what? Let me call Metropolis up. Metropolis comes in clutch every single time. This palette I've had for a while, and the formulation it still works, especially the cream to powders, which you can kind of worry about. Sometimes they can get a little dry and crumbly. They definitely feel a little bit drier than they were when I first purchased it, but they still perform. Like they still have a creaminess and they blend well. Like they're still really good and they still feel really soft to the touch. So this is still available. Like at least it was as of the last time I checked, which was not that long ago, maybe yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. The Metropolis palette she brought back, it's still available. It was on sale as of the day that I was filming this. I don't know if it still is, but I did consider getting a new one, but I'm like, my old one still performs so nicely that I couldn't justify spending that kind of money for a second one while this one was still like kicking. So I didn't do that, but that palette still very much is a holy grail product for me. I was gonna pick a bronzer, but I didn't really have like a fave bronzer. I bounced between a lot of bronzers. And now I kind of have like a little you know, assortment of faves, with the NARS bronzing cream of course being at the top, duh. But I don't have like one singular bronzer that is like the bronzer to rule them all. Although if there were going to be that, it would be the NARS bronzing cream list. But you get what I mean. Like but back then I wasn't a huge bronzer. And when I say bronzer, I wasn't someone who bronzed a lot. I was not a huge bronzer. I didn't really wear bronzer all that much, but I did wear blush. And the two blushes that were like my go-to for a very long time were my two of my Cover FX duo monochromatic blush duos. So Soft Peach was the first one, and I use this all the time, and I loved this blush duo. It's super light, but it's so pigmented that this shows up on me. Like it looks like it's way too light for my skin tone, right? But it is not, my friends. It is not. It is so pigmented and it blends beautifully. A lot of people had issues with these because they felt they were too pigmented. I say nay. What I liked about the Cover FX blushes, especially when it comes to deeper skin tones, is that I feel like they made blushes that were universal, and even though something was light, because it was so pigmented, you could still use it. I think that's pretty awesome. The second one that I was like, if I wasn't wearing Soft Peach, I was wearing Warm Honey, baby. I don't use these nearly as much, but I these will stay. There's every now and then I'll reach for one of them and I'll be like, you still hit. And I'm like, I'm wearing cream blush and I'm loving cream blush right now, but these are one of those powder blushes that I will just always have in my collection. The formulation is, it's stunning. It's stunning. It really is. I was obsessed with this powder. I was so obsessed that I bought a backup, and I try not to do that, but when they announced that I bought 2 backups. Like an insane person. I found one on Amazon and I was like, I'm buying it. And then I found they had one left in stock on the website, and that is the Too Faced Peach Perfect. Now the second one I bought, I wound up selling on Poshmark. I was like, why did I buy 2 of these? I don't need 2 backups. One is enough. And it was, because this is the backup one. And as you can see, it's still quite a lot of product in there. Because I still use this, but I use it sparingly. And I don't use it every day. I've become that person who doesn't powder. I never thought the day would come, guys. I never thought, when people would say, I would watch people be like, I don't really use powder. And I'm like, are you insane? Who are you? What kind of, like, who are your people? Who raised you? I am not one of those people. I still use this, but I use it so sparingly. I either use my LH Cosmetics little powder puff, or yesterday I used the Sephora, one of the Sephora concealer brushes, the one that's kind of like a little bit like not fluffy, but it's thicker, it's denser, more like dome shaped, that I got in my Sephora haul. And I dipped, and then I just lightly applied it just in like the areas that I wanted it, and I didn't powder anywhere else. And my makeup lasted. And I was like, wow. So like when I did that, when I went into work yesterday, I powdered just a little bit here, or right here, and here to bring down some of the shine. And that's it. And my makeup actually lasted, guys. It lasted all day. Like I got home and I was even wearing a mask at some points, because I've been wearing masks on public transportation because I refuse to get got. I'm sick today, and I think it's just me fighting a cold. But I refuse to get got. That's all I gotta say about that. So I've gone back to wearing masks, specifically on public transportation. And this is like, I literally just, that's all I did. And my makeup still lasted. And I think it's because of the foundation that I was using, which was not like, it wasn't like my House Labs foundation, which if I were to wear that and wear a mask, I would set it. I just would, because, and I've done that a little bit, and it actually works really nicely with this powder. So this powder, I don't reach for it every single day, but it's literally the one loose setting powder that I have left in my collection. I don't own any other ones. I have a couple of pressed powders that are probably going to go the way of the dinosaurs. We'll see. But this is still my go-to because it is so finely milled. And there is a powder that's on my wish list that I kind of want to try to see if I like it, and that is the Kosas one, but it's sold, my shade is like sold out everywhere. So I might eventually try that one because it has sort of the quality that I would want in a powder. But as for now, this is the one that I reach for because it is so finely milled, and even though it's mattifying, it doesn't make my skin look flat, and I can apply it strategically. The other powder is the NYX High Glass Finishing Powder in the shade Medium. Looks like this. This is one of the handful of drugstore products that I just freaking love. And I used to wear this all the time. And it has a sheen to it, and I would apply this all over my face like a crazy person because that's what it is. I don't know if you can even see this. Can you see the sheen there? Oh, I still love this powder, and I also applied this strategically yesterday. So I applied my makeup and I powdered where I needed it, and then I dabbed in this, and I just applied it to the high points of my face because it is a finishing powder, but it's a finishing powder with a glow to it. It has a sheen to it, guys. Like, it has glow. It's very glowy, and this is one of those powders that I would wear and people would compliment me on my skin, because my go-to way to wear it used to be to wear it with the ABH Luminous Foundation, which is what I wore yesterday, because I'm wearing it just to see if I'm gonna keep it. I'm kind of we're testing a lot of my foundations, just kind of getting ready for beginning of next year and seeing what's gonna stay and what's gonna go. So I've been wearing that one. I'm wearing it today actually. This is still holding up for me. I'm not gonna lie, it's still holding up for me. But I always used to pair it with this. And I would pair it with that foundation and this, and I would blend this all over my face. And let me tell you how many times people would be like, your skin looks amazing. I'm like, thank you. This powder still bangs, and you can't really get it anymore. It's one of those things where I think it's discontinued, but I still sometimes see it in places. So I'm not gonna get rid of it because it'd be just my luck that it's just like gone. But I don't use it as much as I used to, but it holds up. This powder holds up. Next up is mascara, and I thought about one mascara, but I don't own it anymore, and I was like, well, it doesn't make sense to mention that one because I don't even own it anymore. But there's one that I own, and it's from a dearly departed brand, and it is my favorite mascara, and I wanted to buy more backups of it. This is one time I was like, I'm buying backups, but they were completely sold out, and that is the Bite Beauty Upswing. I have a mini, and then I have another mini that's brand new that hasn't been opened. But this is if I want my eyelashes to look like I'm wearing falsies, this is what I wear. Today I am wearing the Armani Classico, and I really like that for every day. But when I want my lashes to be saying something, this is what I wear. I love this mascara. It does everything I needed to do. It lengthens, it volumizes. It's stunning. And I'm really sad. Like, I'm not a huge I was never a Bite Beauty person. Like, this is literally the only product from them that I've tried and liked. And I'm like, wow, I finally find a mascara that I like from like a product that I like, and then they go out of business. But yeah, this is my baby, and I will keep this, and and hopefully I can find a dupe, but I'm sure I can. Like the Milk Kush, which is the other one that I was going to mention, is pretty close, but not exactly. I really want to try the new Tower 28 one that everyone's raving about, but it is sold out everywhere. Sold out on Tower 28's website. It's sold out on Sephora. Like that, they cannot keep that in stock, and I need to get my grubby little hands on it because I'm very curious. All right, let's talk lippies. First up, let's talk my favorite gloss. It was my go-to lip gloss for ages and ages and ages, and it was my Pat McGrath Faux Real Lust Gloss in Lust Gloss in Faux Real. That's the name of it. It's Faux Real. This was my go-to. I would pair this over pretty much every neutral lipstick or nude lipstick that I owned. It was my combo. But I'm not really doing that much anymore, and I haven't used this in a while, but I love the Pat McGrath lip gloss formula. I will not be decluttering any of my Pat McGrath lip glosses. Like, it just wouldn't happen unless it was just like a shade that I just couldn't use anymore, or like something was wrong with it. That's the only way it would happen. This isn't going anywhere. It's still a beautiful gloss, and I think I want to get more use out of it since I have it, and I've had it for a little while, and I don't want it to like go bad. It doesn't look like it's gone bad at all. Let's smell it. Still smells like vanilla. Yeah, I love this gloss. So I don't use it as much as I used to, but it is still in my heart. And then of course, we have to talk about my Gucci satin lipstick in Penny Beige. This is how much I have left of it. And I think I have quite a bit left. A little fuzzy there, considering how much I was using this lipstick. And I still use it. I would say I wear Penny Beige at least once a week. At least. Like, I have a lot of lip products, guys, and I just ordered some more like I'm a crazy person. But this is a go-to. This is one of the most perfect nudes for me, neutral tones for me. I love this lipstick. The formulation, the Gucci satin formula is chef's kiss. This is what got me into satins, because I used to only wear matte bullet lipsticks because I was never really into bullet lipsticks. I was always like a liquid lipstick girl, and so when I started buying bullet lipsticks, I would only buy mattes because I wanted that longevity factor. Gucci is what got me into satin lipsticks, because this formulation, like, if I decide to purchase from the upcoming Sephora sale, it might be going on by the time this goes up. I don't know yet. I'm seriously consider buying a couple of Gucci lip products because their lip products are everything. And of course, my beautiful, beautiful Lisa Eldridge Velvet Dragon. Yes, this is still a go-to for me. This one is more of a go-to for me like early fall and summer. Oh my god, it's such a stunning shade. This shade though, y'all. It makes me weep. Look at that. It's so pretty. But I will say I don't wear this as much in like winter time. I tend to reach for its sister. It's like deeper, richer, more like Velvet Dragon is like the little sister who's like super popular and smart in high school, but then there's like the older sister who's like went to an Ivy League college and like, you know, has her own condo and a really hot boyfriend. That's Cinnabar. I wear Cinnabar in the fall and winter. But Velvet Dragon still bops because she's cool as hell. But her sister is just as cool. She's just a little more mature. She's a winter girl. Velvet Dragon is like a summer fall girl. You know what I mean? So this is still very much a fave. I just don't reach for it a lot during this time of year. But this is my baby. This is like my favorite orange, like perfect orange lipstick. Alright guys, so that's everything as far as things that are still popular for me. As you can see, most of the complexion products have gone the way of the dinosaurs in my heart. And come declutter time, I wouldn't be surprised to see all of them go. But my like lip products and my cheek products and my eye products are still things that I love and that have space in my collection. They have a place in my collection, and even if they're not reached for all the time, they for me have still hold value. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I wanted to make sure this time of year, there's so much new stuff, there's so much shopping. This is the time of year that I do most of my shopping. I have a lot of new things that I'm posting about, you know, a lot of videos about newer products that I'm posting, hauls and things like that, which I love. I love watching hauls. I love watching people try new things, and I'm always curious, even if I'm not shopping, and so I hope it's the same for you. But I also want to make sure that I'm incorporating what the ideology of my channel is, which is trying new makeup and loving new makeup, but also loving and being inspired by what you already have, because you can do both. You can do both. Like, I don't think it's a either or thing, and I think it's all about balance in that sense. So my goal with doing videos like this at this time of year is to have you go through your makeup and the stuff that you used to really love, pull it out and play with it and see how you feel about it. If you guys want to see me do like a full face of all of this stuff, I don't have time today. I'm actually kind of sick today and I threw on makeup. I did a little blush draping, but I didn't have the energy to do that today. But I wouldn't be averse to putting these products on my face and seeing how they hold up on camera even. Because maybe my mind will be changed about some of the things that I think aren't the biz anymore, or things that I do think are the biz still. Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed today's video, guys, please be sure to hit the like button, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye now.